Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jay's Fifth Down Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Gay, here today with Coach Alan Chadwick. He is the head football coach at Marist High School in Atlanta, Georgia. Coach, thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Pleasure having you on.
Thank you. I feel pleasure. I'm proud to be here. I feel very fortunate to be here, and thank you for my involvement.
Of course. So, Coach, how's everything going with you? 2022 season. How's everything going? School year. So far with you and the team?
Well, it's been a struggle for us. We're a very young football team. We knew that coming in. We had to replace a good many seniors that graduated from last year, not to mention 6 or 7 really high impact type players from last year, and weren't sure how we were going to replace those kind of guys that can really impact ball games on both sides of the ball. That's been probably our biggest challenge. That, along with the number of injuries that we've had going into the season, even coming into our first practices from the summer, we had 5 or 6 guys that were injured with previous injuries or injuries that they'd sustained over the summer, either through workouts or playing other sports, that type of thing. So we were really kind of behind quite a bit in terms of where we wanted to be with our summer preparation. And then out of the gate, we had to play a great Gainesville team with a new coaching staff, and we weren't really certain about what they were going to do. And they came out very well prepared and kind of jumped on us early and got a big lead, which was a little bit too hard for us to overcome.
Right.
And Gainesville's gone on to be undefeated at this point in time too, and they're a top 10 team and very good program. Then we rebounded a little bit. We went over to Alabama, played Pike Road out of Montgomery. They were returning 5A champions from Alabama last year. And we had lost our quarterback in the first ball game. He got hurt, was not able to play in the second game. So we had a backup quarterback, Ian White, came in and did a very, very good job for us and led us to victory that night. And then since then, we've had a couple of really tough ball games, one with Woodward Academy as well as with Blessed Trinity.
Yep.
Down to Woodward in week 4, and we got beat 28-21. We just could not find a way to stop them. They're probably one of the best teams, I would think, in 6A at this point in time. They're very explosive offensively. They can move the ball around, do a lot of good number of receivers.
Yeah.
Spot on. They were like 8 for 8 on third down conversions that particular night. And then we came back, made a good run at it at the end, but we just couldn't find a way to stop them and get the ball back and get a chance to win. And then against BT, we had a very, very exciting ball game at our place. They came in ranked number 2, and we found a way to scratch and kick and claw and find a way. And kids really played hard and came up with some big plays when we need them, both sides of the ball, and that was the key to victory for us there. So we're matching up with Dunwoody, our first region ball game tomorrow night. Been moved, of course, from Friday to Thursday night, and they're a good football team as well. They're playing extremely well, scoring a lot of points. So we've got to come prepared and ready to play and play well in order to have a chance to win.
Yeah, and a lot of games have been moved because of Hurricane Ian. So I did want to wish all of us here at Jay's Fifth Down, want to wish our condolences out to those who are dealing with hurricane right now, and we wish the best for everybody out there.
Got the news. I've got the news on here, and just kind of watching that a little bit too, and it's a really dangerous situation down there. And we hope there can be a very limited loss of power and outages and life as well. So prayers are going with those people down there right now.
Absolutely. So, Coach, you've been at Marist since 1985. So talk about, man, what got you there and what the longevity that has kept you within that program and just to build that winning culture. Talk about that for a second.
Well, I was very fortunate to come in as an assistant coach under Dean Hargis, the former head football coach and athletic director. He was there for, I think, 19 years. And I came in as a young assistant after trying out with a couple of pro teams, getting cut and going back to school and finishing my graduate assistance program, finished my master's, and then got the opportunity to come to Marist as an assistant and an offensive coordinator. Spent 9 years under Coach Hargis. That was from 1976 to 1985. Coach Hargis left right at the end of the school year, 1985, and then I got a position and been there ever since. And it was a great situation, great people, great support, good facilities, winning tradition, and it just felt like the right place to be. We had all the dynamics to have a good, sustained success in our program, and I feel like I've just kind of carried on what Coach Hargis started all those years ago. And they started running the option about 2 years before I got there, and that was not my background at all. And come to believe in it and believe it's the best way to go for a high school such as Marist, with the kind of athletes we get, and kids we get, and I think that a good running game, a great running game, is going to make you a tougher football team. It's going to make you better defensively. You've got to stop the run first if you're going to win your share of football games. And it's just something that we've continued on, and our kids believe in it, and love the offense and love what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned a good running game. That is key, and having myself been a part of a great high school program as well. Our event, how John Guess's thing was run the ball, right? At Elka. Right. He's at Hebron Christian now, but his whole MO was always just run the ball, power, counter, jet sweep. Just want to run it down your throat. And it makes, like you say, it makes you tough defensively, makes you good defensively because you can't stop the run. You're not going to win football games. So like what you said there about the run game and how powerful it can be, because you need it come to playoff time.
That's true. You do. And like I said, the idea that it makes you a tougher team overall, you tackle better, you block better when you're a running football team, of course, and it forces the team sometimes to do some things they may not want to do. Yep. But today you see so many teams that are so well versed on the spread offense and throwing the ball around and spreading around to a lot of good athletes, and that has kind of been our nemesis a little bit in big ball games, particularly in the playoffs, is stopping those good athletes out in space with the ball in their hands. So we work on it hard. We work on it every single day, and it takes us a while to get better. We're a young secondary this year, and I think that really affected us in those early ball games, not being able to stop the pass. And because there's so many combinations and so much communication has to take place and so many reps that they have to see things coming at them from a secondary standpoint, that it takes time to develop that chemistry back there that you need in order to be successful. And I think we're starting to get to that point now.
Yeah. So going into the season, what improvements and strides did you want to see your team make in 2022? And have they lived up to that so far?
Consistency. Being a young football team, a lot of new pieces to the puzzle at a lot of different positions. New quarterback. We had to replace all but one offensive lineman. We had to replace all but 3 defensive players. And it was a huge challenge for us. We felt like coming into the season, the strength of our team was going to be our kicking game, both punting and kicking the ball. And yet coming into the summer, the entire summer, my kicker was hurt and didn't kick. Our punter was hurt and didn't punt.
Man.
And so, I had a lot of sleepless nights before the preseason, just worried about being able to pull all these things together. But we're starting to get people back from being injured. We had 7 starters out in our first 3 ball games. We had 7 starters out and not playing. And and a good many of those were seniors that we were counting on moving into those positions to be players for us at those positions. But that didn't happen, and we had to go with the next guy up, and it's just taken us a while. Coaches have worked extremely hard with a lot of preparation, a lot of meeting time, a lot of film time, a lot of reps on the field, on the practice field. And we're starting to get to the point where we understand what's coming at us and what we need to be aware of and ready for. And the execution on offense is starting to pick up a little bit. So, when you say, what did we have to focus on? I would say everything. We had to focus on blocking, tackling, covering, running routes, throwing the ball, kicking the ball. You name it, we had to do it.
Yeah, most definitely. And Coach, so what would you say has been your most memorable game out of all your years at Marist, especially in particularly being head coach? What was the game that you'll never ever forget?
Well, I don't want to take anything away from this year's team. Beating number 2 ranked Blessed Trinity 2 weeks ago at our place was a huge game for us. We were good Lord, we were 3-1 2-1 at the time. 2-1, excuse me, 2-2 at the time, playing the number 2 ranked team in the state in 6A, and it was a huge win for this young football team that we had. And we played extremely hard. It was one of those hard ball games that was on both sides. It was exciting from the opening kick to the final whistle.
Yep.
Still in doubt up until the final whistle. A game that went back and forth, huge crowds on both sides, very electric atmosphere, and we were able to come out on top because we made a few plays when we needed to. That was a huge win, but certainly you can't take anything away from state championships that we've had. 1989, 2003, we had Sean Mcvay as our quarterback, wins the state championship, and he's the player of the year in the state. And then 2020 with the COVID pandemic, and going through all the adversity you have and dealing with the pandemic and coming forward and playing a championship game and winning it. That was a huge game as well. 1989 was the first state championship in the history of Marist School, and that was in South Georgia, down in at Worth County, in God, what's the name of the town? I forgot the name of the town now. In Worth County, and that was a very, very exciting game. That was an undefeated team, 15-0, lights out defense, and really exciting ball game because it really electrified our fan base, and we had a great support down there that night, and that was a special win as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say for me as a player, I think that it was our semifinal matchup against Prince Avenue a couple years ago in 2019. We got out 62-57. You probably heard about that game. It was insane.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think I could have lasted through a game like that.
But Brock Vandegrift was something else, man. At Prince Avenue.
I remember hearing about that game the next day, and I thought, wow, man, that's got to be something to be involved with that.
Yeah, we all let out a sigh of relief on the sideline after that. But you mentioned Sean McVay, who he's now the Super Bowl champion head coach for the Los Angeles Rams, went to Marist High School, was a quarterback for you guys there. Did he display that leadership and that coach-like mindset, like, hey, this guy's going to end up being a head guy in the National Football League? Did you ever see that out of him throughout his time?
You never really realize that they can go that far, that they're special and they got some great genes to be able to carry them forward. As a sophomore, you could tell he was a good leader, and he had a great command of the game, of his execution as a quarterback. We played him a great deal in secondary as a sophomore. We had a good number of players that thought he should have been our starting quarterback as a sophomore, but that didn't quite work out that way. He came on as a starter in his junior and senior years. And it's when you look back now and see some of the things he did and how well he commanded himself and commanded the offense and executed the offense and understood the game and could see the game from a coach's perspective as a player. You think back on what you saw then, and you can see how he's gotten to the level he's gotten to now, because he was a special player, gifted athlete, but very well versed in the X's and O's and the command of the game and understanding and seeing the game.
Yeah, and Sean Mcvay is, I believe, one of the most brilliant minds that we have in this game. He's made like a whole tree of coaches, and now they're off and at different teams as well. Kevin O'Connell, head coach for the Minnesota Vikings, from that branch of Sean McVay led teams, as well as what's his name, the guy for the head coach for the Zach Taylor for the Cincinnati Bengals, also. So he just amazes me, and he's a guy that you've been to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them, and he's always going to have his team in contention. So
sounds like it, and I certainly hope all the best for him. It's fun to watch, and I don't get as much opportunity to watch it as I'd like, but every time we get a chance, we're watching Sean and rooting for him a great deal.
Oh yes, absolutely, Coach. So you guys were originally 4A. You moved up to 6A, like all these other schools now this year. That was the thing. Everybody was moving up classifications. So talk about the challenges that come with that and these new crop of teams that you're playing throughout the year, and just how that affects your game planning and your team overall.
Well, I think it affects us more throughout the offseason in terms of our preparation and getting bigger, thicker, and stronger. That's the challenge I see moving forward. To play in 6A. Goodness, I said it when the reclassification was presented last year, and I looked across the state at the number of 6A teams that are really, really, really good football programs throughout the state. Houston County, Lee County, Rome, Roswell, Gainesville, Woodward, St. Pius, Blessed Trinity. The list just keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a tough road to handle in the playoffs. Your second round game is going to be a real test moving forward. It used to be, trying to get to the third round. You start thinking you're going to have really, really good competition in the third round. But I think in the first and second rounds, it's going to be significantly tougher with this classification the way it's set up right now. And that's a huge challenge for us. We're not a real big school. We've got a very small population. The multiplier has really affected us a great deal. And we don't have the kind of size that a lot of these schools have had. We're not a particularly big team this year. And matching up with the kind of linemen that these programs have gotten is a big challenge for us right now. And it's going to be a challenge for us in the future as well.
Yes, sir. You mentioned those teams like Blessed Trinity, Woodward, and Woodward coming up as well from 4A. So, just the level, I know it adds to that competition, and the guys, I'm sure it gives them extra motivation and practice, like depending on just each and every week, knowing that your competition, your level of play has to be higher than it was the week before because you're facing that hard level of play each and every week.
And that's kind of why we wanted to play some really, really good teams early in the year. We don't have a lot of teams calling us to schedule football games. And so we're forced to take some of those stronger teams like Gainesville, like Woodward, like Blessed Trinity, who are not in our region. And we feel like playing those kind of teams early has really battle tested us and prepared us for our region, which we're going into tomorrow night. And we've played some really, really good physical, well-talented football teams, well-coached teams. And hopefully that's going to bode well for us moving forward.
Yep, absolutely, Coach. Yeah, you said it right there. So what advice would you give to guys who are wanting to inspire to be head coaches or get into that realm of leading young men out there on the field, and just talk about the distinguish between not just the game itself, but also being an example for these young guys out there, and not just football, but in the way of life?
Well, first thing I would say would be to wear a hat and wear sunscreen, because I've got skin cancer that I just had taken off last week, and that's no fun, believe me. So wear a hat and wear sunscreen. I would say, the first thing, just love the game. Love the game and study the game as much as you can, and enjoy being with young people. Finding a great staff that has good chemistry is so important in terms of being successful. I don't care how good a coach you are individually. If you don't have other people around you that are just as committed and focused and good teachers of the game and good communicators with young people, then you're just spinning your wheels. Because I certainly couldn't have done half of what we've accomplished at Marist without a great support staff and some of the finest men in the world who care about young people, love coaching the game, and are very good at it and are committed to it. So I would say, study it, love the game, love being around young people, and understanding that it's a challenge. It's a daily challenge, and it's a job that's not easy, and it's not for everybody because you got to have energy. You got to have a burning desire to want to help make an impact in people's lives. My biggest thing is I've just felt like we're teaching them how to be tougher, young men, how to work for something, how to put themselves out, to dedicate themselves, how to come together, to be a good teammate, to care about each other, and learn how to work with one another, and to strive for excellence. You're never going to attain it, but to keep striving for it and keep working hard and giving your most in order to be the best you can be.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And you mentioned with the coaching, it takes everybody on your staff. It takes one collective effort from the whole unit. And you can't, like you said, no matter how good of a coach you are, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, those guys haven't gotten what they've gotten without the support of their staff as well. Being able to get right players in there and, just all of them, it all contributes to the effort, and once everybody's bought in, that's when you're going to go in a good direction.
And I would say that the biggest plus we have at Marist is our staff chemistry. A good many of them played for us at Marist and come back to coach. Not all of them, of course, but a good many of them. And that builds a camaraderie and an understanding with each other. And it's a brotherhood. And when good things happen on one side of the ball, but bad things happen on the other side, we're not picking at each other and blaming each other. It's a team effort, a team win, a team loss, and that's the way we look at it.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach Chadwick, we appreciate your time coming on the podcast, talking some football with us, and good luck to you all tomorrow night. And, just continue to everybody stay safe. And with the hurricane and everything going on, we wish, again, our prayers and condolences out there to everybody right now dealing with that. But, Coach, thanks again for coming on with us tonight.
Thank you, Jaden. And thanks for all you do for high school football.
Yes, sir. You have a great night.
Good night.
You guys can check us out here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. This has been the Jay's Fit Down Football Podcast with Coach Alan Chadwick, head football coach at Marist High School in Atlanta. Thanks for tuning in.